What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Julian and today we're going to be talking about filmmaking gear that I wish I got sooner in my career. The items we're going to talk about have made my life so much easier and are well worth considering, especially if you already have the basics and you're looking to level up your career. The first item on the list are the Sony MDR7506 professional dynamic stereo headphones. I bought these for about 110 euros. You can get them for like $100. And the reason why these headphones are better than your average wireless bassy headphones is because these are great for listening to music and you're just commuting on the tram, but they don't give a very accurate sound. The reason why these headphones are so much better for monitoring and editing your sound is because they are neutral, which means that they pick up higher and lower frequencies much clearer, and they pick up all the soft sounds in your footage, which means that you're better able to fine-tune your audio and hear where there's a sudden cut in the audio or things like that. But if you're starting out, these are a great budget-friendly option for monitoring your audio while you're on set or while you're editing. The second item on this list, and also one of the most expensive, the Sachtler or Sachtler. I'm not German, so I can't really say it. Sachtler Ace XL fluid head tripod system. And I really wish I got this item sooner because nothing beats having a good, stable, solid, smooth tripod system. The drag system is super smooth. It's fluid, which means that instead of using friction plates to create the drag, it uses fluid, which gives a much more stable, smooth pan and tilt. It has adjustable knobs, so I can go from 0 resistance. I've got the counterbalance on, so it does that. 0 resistance, this is what it looks like. All the way through to 3, which I can set on both. And then that gives me a really strong drag for those extra smooth motions. Also has a counterbalance system, which is useful for counterbalancing your camera rig. Spoiler alert, this is one of the items I'm going to be talking about later. Okay, gotta set the balance. Where's it going to go? Is it leaning forward, leaning back? Okay, that's pretty much balanced. So what's so great about counterbalance is that here you can see it's got a very low counterbalance, so it's dipping forward when I release it. But if I bump up the counterbalance a bit, oh, that's too much. So this is going back. So if I set it to the correct counterbalance, it should hold its position. And that's why counterbalance is so useful. Another reason why this item is so great is because the adjustments for the pan and tilt are separate from the locking. This basically means that you've got 2 separate knobs for doing 2 separate things. A lot of tripods will have the same adjustment knob that will adjust the tilt and also lock it. Why this is bad is because then you're going to get very sticky motion like that. So with this is great. You have one knob for locking it in place, and you have a completely separate one for doing the drag. And the same goes for the pan, this one. So you have one adjustment here for doing the pan, and you have another one here for locking it in place. Super handy. The next item on this list is a variable ND filter. I use the Peter McKinnon Polar Pro 2 to 5 stops, 82mm. Unfortunately, I'm using mine right now on my camera, so I can't show you, but I can use this circular polarizer just to give you an idea. So the reason why a variable ND filter is so great is because ND helps you to bring down the amount of light that's coming into your camera sensor. So you can turn down your shutter speed so you can get that natural blur motion. Variable ND means that you have much more control. You're able to turn it. You probably can't see with this because this is a circular polarizer, but when you turn it, you go from 1 stops all the way through to 5 stops to give you more accurate light filtration. And now for the 4th item on this list, and you got a little sneak peek of it earlier. This is my go-to camera, my GH5S. I'm going to take it apart a bit so you can actually get a better look at it. Alright, here you go. It's still in the camera cage. It's just a small rig cage, but this is it. I love this camera. Like I said before, it is an absolute beast. It shoots 4K, 60 frames per second, full HD at 180 frames per second without a crop, and 240 frames per second with a very small crop. It's fine. It is a micro four thirds camera, which means that you're getting slightly less of that depth of field, out of focus bokeh that everybody loves, but honestly, with the Sigma 18-35 1.8 and a speed booster, you don't miss it. You get it back. The color bit depth on this camera is amazing. It's 10-bit 422 internal, and it has a 10 megapixel sensor, micro four thirds like I said, but it is a beast in low light scenarios as well. It's actually better in low light than my Sony a7 III, which is a 24 megapixel full frame camera. This camera has some pro cinema filmmaking features like shutter angle, log profiles, dual native ISO at 400 and 2500 ISO. It has dual UHS 2 SD card slots, which means that you're able to record to both SD card slots at the same time, or fill up one and then start filming onto the other one. You can also use this camera for photography, though it's maybe not the best option, and I still prefer to use my Sony a7 III for photography. This does have 4K photo mode, which allows you to take 4K photos at up to 60 frames per second. I got this one super cheap, secondhand. It's in brand new condition and well worth it. It has HDMI and USB-C inputs, very handy for monitoring your video. It does also have a flippy screen that flips out to the side. That's nice, not such a big deal for me. The autofocus on this camera is not so great for video. For photography, you can definitely get away with it, but with video, it hunts a lot. You know what is good for focusing your video? A monitor. Right now, I'm using a FeelWorld 4K Ultra Bright monitor. I've just got it here so I can see what I'm looking at. I've just disconnected it, so it's just a blank screen. These are super useful for checking your focus, checking your false colors, making sure that you have the right exposure on your image. You get focus peaking and zebras, anamorphic D-squeeze. You can upload custom LUTs, which allows you to see what your footage is going to look like once you've started color grading it. They're also just super handy when you're on set and there's other people who want to see what you're filming, because the big screen makes it much easier than trying to look on your camera's LCD screen. One of the biggest reasons why an external monitor is so important in video is that you can't rely on your camera's LCD screen at the back. It's so small, you can barely see anything. If you can focus with this thing, then you're very impressive. I prefer to use a monitor because I can get a much bigger, clearer image and see my full composition in a much clearer, cleaner way. I get focus peaking, which helps me to really nail the focus. Like I said, this is the FeelWorld 4K LUT 7S, which is a great monitor, but it gets really hot, so I'm probably not going to keep it. I am looking into other monitors right now, so I will be doing a future video comparing different on-camera monitors, so if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications so you don't miss out on that video. The next item on this list is also the item that I most recently purchased, the DJI wireless mic system. Right now I'm actually using them for my boom mic so that it's recording directly into camera. What's up, guys? Future editing Julian here. And yeah, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that while I was recording, my transmitter or my receiver was set to mono recording, which means that as soon as I opened the case, because I was already using one of these, they both started recording, which meant the audio was something like this. 15 hours with these mics. This case, you can get a... Yeah, that's not so great. Sorry about that. But anyway, that gives me a chance to re-record this now. I have my boom mic set directly into my camera, so this won't be an issue again. So actually the great thing about the mono recording mode that kind of messed me up is that it has a stereo mode as well, which means that because there are two transmitters on this lovely system, I can record to separate audio tracks with each of these. Which means if I had done that for this part of the video, I could have just deleted the separate track for the one that was in the box. But I didn't do that. What I usually do with this stereo mode is I either have one connected to my boom mic, which is connected to my camera, and one that is connected to my subject. Or I can record two subjects at the same time. Or alternatively, because it films or records to two separate tracks, is I can record a safety track with this, which means that if there's a loud noise, a bang, or the subject laughs really loud and it peaks the audio, there's a safety track that you can record at the same time. So it records to both tracks, and one is just 10 decibels lower, which means it's safe if there's any trouble with the main audio. The other great thing about this system is that it comes with this wonderful case. I love this case. It's super handy. You can charge everything to the back of it right there. It acts as a power bank, so as soon as you put these in here, you can actually see what their power levels are right now. If I take one out, you'll see it disconnects. So on their own, fully charged, these last about 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours, that's what they say. Yeah, and then if one device dies and you're only using one, then you can put this in here and you can quickly swap it out for the other one, which is great. I love that. The other nice thing with these is that it has a lav input. So instead of using the inbuilt mic, which you see over here, which is okay, it's not great, but I prefer to use a lav mic. I use the Shure MVL lav, and that's a pretty good lav. It has a very low bass noise frequency. I think that's what it's called. I'm not actually sure. It basically means that the noise that the system makes is much less than, for example, if you use a Rode lav mic. Rode lav mics are good, but not the one I have. So I got the Shure MVL and I can just stick that right in there. It connects as a lav mic. You've got these magnets so you can very quickly and easily set it up as a lav mic, I guess. But if you don't like the clunkiness, you can just set it up with a lav mic and stick it into someone's pocket. There is a clip on the back. The clip is also the same size as a cold shoe or a hot shoe mount, so you can easily fit it onto different places on your camera rig. You can clip it to your subject's shirt so you can record like this, which I think is great. If I'm in a run and gun scenario and I need audio really quickly, I can just, as soon as I pull this out the case and this is connected to my camera, this is ready to go. It's connected automatically. I don't need to go into settings and pair and do all this stuff that can take time, and it's can be a bit tedious. Another great thing about these receivers or transmitters is that they record internally. So while you're wirelessly transmitting directly to your camera, because it's wireless, you can sometimes get some interference or some static, or maybe your subject moves too far away from the camera and the distance creates that nasty noise that is just unusable and it comes in and out, and yeah. So you can actually record internally to these. Yeah, just like that. It's recording. So now I can once I've got the recording, I can plug these in directly to my camera and get that audio. What's great about the DJI mics is that you don't need a app to download the footage, the audio, and then convert it into WAV, WAV, or MP3 or whatever. You just connect it and put it straight into your timeline. As easy as that. There's no extra workflow around it. So these are a great backup safety measure. Yeah, like I said earlier, because you can use a separate audio track and you can record internally to these, you're pretty safe. Yeah, whether there's peaking or the wireless system bugs out, you're good. Like these will save you, and I really like that. So all in all, these are a great little device. I think they're super handy. They're a great budget option. Obviously, there are better options, like I think the Sennheiser AVX. I'll put the name of it somewhere here. That's an awesome system, but it's XLR, which I don't have with my system just yet. So these use a 3.5 millimeter audio input jack, which is perfect for my system and the way I use it. So yeah, these are great for me, and I think they would be great for you too. Cool. I think that's it. So on with the video. The next item on this list are vintage M42 lenses. I have a bunch of them over here. Now, the reason why these things are so great is because they're so cheap. You can get a very good quality 35 millimeter for less than $100. I believe that I got these three for in total $150, and I got this one for 10 euros. And the reason why I got this one so cheap and why I'm so excited about it is because this is a zoom 80 to 200 f3.9, and the funny thing is that it's stuck at 3.9. So no matter how much I turn the aperture ring, the iris does not change. But it's stuck at 3.8, so it still lets in plenty of light, and I probably wouldn't want to use anything else for this lens anyway. Now, the reason why these are so cheap is because they don't have the modern autofocus motors, and they are a bit older, which also means that they have a crazy amount of character, and they just make your footage look really great and, dare I say, cinematic. Unlike digital photography lenses, these are not as sharp, which for filmmaking is not a problem because sharpness is just unrealistic for the eye, so we don't mind having a slightly softer image. But if you're into product photography, or maybe you do high-end commercials where sharpness is really important, maybe these aren't for you. But if you're more of a filmmaker, if you like a more unique, classy look, then definitely worth considering getting these kinds of lenses. They have a screw-on mounting system, so it's very easy to find adapters and they're very cheap. I actually just recently shot a music video using only vintage M42 lenses, and I have a documentary coming up which I will only be using these lenses as well. Yes, they're not autofocus, but honestly, as a filmmaker, I want to have a strong focus pulling skills, and these are great for training my focus pulling. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I've given you some useful insights into some different gear that you maybe haven't considered before, and you're considering it now. That's great. I really hope that something from here can help you level up your filmmaking. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.